Hey everyone, want to welcome you to the next Mathematics for the Impatient. Here we are with Kladko, our CTO, and today we're talking about the token transfer widget, which is a kind of a brand new thing. You guys have probably never heard of it. What is the token transfer widget and why does Scale need one?
Yeah, great. Thank you, Marcus, for asking this question. I would also like to welcome everyone again to our series. For the last couple of weeks, we're extremely busy scale engineering. So many things happening, 28 chains running. It's literally crazy. It's a very interesting time. And, every startup, when you do a startup, every startup has this phase where you release a product and people start using it. And usually, what people tell you is that, when you release your product, there are almost always things which are missing, or there's something which you clearly users are asking about, and you don't have the things. And so what we realized about Scale, but not only Scale, but pretty much all blockchains, is that yes, it's great to release a blockchain. Yes, it's great to have many blockchains, but the question number one is usability. And everyone is asking us about how we can make things very usable. And now metaverse and scaleverse and multi-blockchain world, it's a given thing. People, I think, settled now that this is going to be the future. No one questions the fact that the future will be multi-chain and people will transfer tokens between chains. So that's kind of a settled thing. But now, once you have this future, the question becomes how you make an easy UI, because definitely you need to go from a single chain to many chains. Things like MetaMask and block explorers, they're all about a single chain, but now you have many. And then you have this problem of really deep problem now. I think a deep problem now in the blockchain world is the message boxes that MetaMask shows up. MetaMask actually shows lots of warnings when you do things, but when you do things on many blockchains, just keeps on showing warnings. And many people are now asking this question, what are we going to do about it? Because it makes things really hard to use. And yes, we could actually wait. I'm pretty sure that MetaMask guys are great guys. And, they have their engineering cycle, probably like a year from now, they will solve the problem. But in the meantime, someone actually has to work on multi-blockchain world. So we're realizing that we need to have a solution which makes things simple in the multi-blockchain world. But not only that, but also that in this new world, we're actually bringing new people. We want people who are not tech people, like artists and creators and just consumers, to be used blockchain. So on one hand, things are getting more complex because we have multi-blockchain. On the other hand, we need to make them more simple because we need to have less technical people to use it. And so that's really the problem now. And so we decided that we're going to do something which is not really characteristic for us because we've been doing the core things for years now. But now we decided that we need to do a UI widget because this is the thing that's needed by people. So we're creating a widget which simplifies things and allows people to own things in the multi-chain world, to transfer them, and also do some basic operations like exchange, swap tokens, so whatever, some basic things in a simple way. So again, artists, creators, not just regular people could do it. So we asked people on Twitter about the name of this token and of this app. And the winning name was Metaport, which I think is a great name because first of all, it's metaverse. It's actually a widget for the metaverse. So it's meta and port is like teleport, like in the sci-fi books, when you teleport. So moving tokens around should be as easy as teleporting them. So that's why it's called Metaport. And the Metaport will provide very nice UI for anyone or for your grandma, that your grandma will be able to own tokens in this metaverse and to send them from one place to another and do some basic operations about them, change them to USDC, change them to fiat, use them in a game. So we're creating something which is next level abstraction. When things are very complex, what you need to do, you need to go to the next level and abstract things out. This thing won't show people chains. You won't even know what blockchain is that. it will show you apps, and it will show you how much money you have in different apps. And it will allow you to also to create actions to interact between your money and these apps. But you actually won't care what particular blockchain this happens on. So people that use this widget, they won't even know which particular blockchain is being used at a particular time.
I'm trying to imagine my mother actually doing anything on blockchain. So I love it. I love it because she might actually, you never know with her. She always surprises me. So, okay. Tell us a little bit more. What are some of the unique problems and tax and technologies that Metaport is going to be using?
Yeah, that's a great question. And then I think that there's a huge gap between what people want and what actually is doable now with MetaMask, right? What your grandma wants, you might say, oh, it may be hard for your grandma to use a blockchain, but in reality, blockchain has to be very, very simple, right? You just have money, you have different tokens, you play this game, that game, you have different type of like tokens in these games. And then with these tokens, you want to be able to exchange them, like you exchange money like at the airport, right? You go to, and you exchange US dollars to euro. You need to be able to exchange them and maybe move them to fiat, to hold them, to send them to your friend. That's pretty much it. That's actually what people want from crypto. And they don't want to know that, oh, I'm running on even they don't want to know they run on Scale, actually. Don't care. Right? This is the level of abstraction they need, right? So we at Scale, if we want to actually be successful, we need to disappear. People shouldn't care if they run on Scale. They shouldn't see us, right? So I think MetaMask is like the opposite of it, because every action you do, they actually pop up a message box and they say, oh, we are from MetaMask. Are you sure you want to do it? So they constantly showing these message boxes. And the problem, the most important problem for us was to get rid of those message boxes, but we can't really change MetaMask, and we can't wait until they have their solution, which we'll probably have, but when, right? So we came up with this really interesting idea of a child key. Basically, in MetaMask, you have your MetaMask key, and MetaMask keeps watching your key. So whatever action you're trying to do about this key, like using anywhere, it keeps on popping up these warnings and checkboxes and like click boxes, whatever. And so we can't, if we just touch the key, we just constantly trigger this MetaMask things. So what we realized what we could do is that from this key, we can derive something which is like a child key. And this child key MetaMask doesn't know about, but it's called child key because it's derived from the main key. Anytime if you have the main key, you can get the child key. But this child key, like I give you an example. Let's say you have a password, a very simple example. You have a very long password in English, right? Let's say your password is MetaMask, and MetaMask watches your password and keeps on like popping these boxes. But what I can do, I can use Google Translate and translate your password to French, say, and it becomes a different word, and MetaMask doesn't know about it. And so when you use this French word, it won't pop up the boxes, but in reality, you can always derive the French word from English because it's a translation of English. So that's pretty much the idea. It uses cryptography. It is a secure way to derive things. But the idea is that from your MetaMask key, you have this child key, and the child key is magic in a sense that there's no pop-up boxes. So that's really the technology which we are going to implement. Is going to be the core of Metaport. So if you say have money in your MetaMask key, and you want to do like 10 actions, move it from chain. So let's say you have your tokens, you move it to this chain, to the chain where they can be exchanged to other tokens, and then you exchange, and then you move it back to your chain. So you do some stuff. Your application does some stuff. Every time you would do it with the first key, with your main key, MetaMask would show up the message boxes, and you would just get crazy about like clicking these boxes. But if you derive the child key and you first transfer your money to the child key, then the rest of the actions you can do with the child key. And at the end of the procedure, you can send the money back to your main key. So let's say you have 100 actions that would actually trigger 100 message boxes. if you initially, behind the scenes, transfer the money to the child key and use the child key to do these actions, there will be no message boxes. And then at the end, you can actually bring it back to your main key. That's pretty much the technology we came up with. I'm actually, the widget will be blockchain agnostic in the sense that other people who are Ethereum compatible may actually use our widget. It's going to be an open source widget. We're going to publicize the standards for it, so anyone can use this technology. It's not limited to Scale, because Scale is just an Ethereum compatible chain, and nothing that we do is, anything we can do can be also done on any other Ethereum chain. So this is the tech, and this child key technology allows us to hide many things. So ultimately, because of this, the UI can be really simple. It's pretty much going to be like an iPhone, a UI, right? You'll see your apps, and for every app, it will show you how much money you have in this app and what kind of money, what kind of tokens. And then if you say want to exchange your tokens into USDC or stablecoin or fiat, you'll just click and there will be a button exchange into fiat. Or if you want to move from one game to another, again, you will basically just transfer maybe even some UI actions such as like pulling and pushing, whatever. So the idea is that the UI for this is going to be as simple as the UI you used on your mobile phone or on the regular web. And we are getting away from all the warnings and the message boxes, but there's a caveat. There are some cases in which you actually do need a warning. Let's say you suddenly decide to spend all of your money or send your money to a strange place, but the warnings have to be intelligent. Basically, there has to be some type of an AI or machine learning that actually looks at what you do, and if what you do is very mundane and like normal, there has to be no warning. But if something that you do is really strange, then there has to be a warning and a confirmation and things like that. And it actually opens up the entire technology possibility for using machine learning at scale, because to make things really simple for your grandma, one thing which can be done is move intelligence into this AI and security. So instead of yourself clicking through these boxes, most people just click through anyway, they don't read, right? It's not really secure. You will actually pass it to the UI, and at some point there may be something asked from you, but since the things will be really rare, when you have it popping up, you'll understand that there's something really strange happening, and then you can think about the actions. That's really the idea about Metaport.
Cool. Yeah. So it's about usability, right? It's about making sure that things are usable. So last question. How do you see Metaport speeding up adoption of blockchain kind of, at that sort of hockey stick moment up to millions of people?
That's a great question. I think, what we see, many people talk about this. What we've seen for the last couple of years, we've seen the market was going up, and people who knew how to use blockchain, they were getting more and more professional and making more and more money and creating more and more projects, but somehow the audience didn't grow. It was like existing people, for the most part, getting more professional and experts, but not really. You don't see anyone, if you go to a subway, you don't see people playing games on their mobile phones. None of those people play blockchain games, right? So you don't see really this adoption. So I think we need this next level of abstraction. And I think with Metaport, we'll be really careful about not using the current level of abstraction because it's too detailed. There has to be no block explorer, right? There has to be no gas fees just showing you, you're going to run this transaction, how much gas you want to pay for it. It's just killing things. So many things in this Metaport is going to be not about adding, but about subtracting. So it's literally, I think, the less UI, the less buttons we end up having in the Metaport, and less actions, the more adoption. So it's going to be a really interesting experiment about actually going totally the other way, just basically throwing things away, taking things out, and creating like literally like a 1 button, 2 button thing, and just taking everything out. And ultimately, when we take things out, definitely one needs to think about security. But then if you take things out, the security can be achieved by machine learning and AI. So because if AI thinks for you, there has to be no like buttons, whatever, like UI elements. So that's really going to be a great experiment for us, because Scale is not really a UI company. So, we've never done this, but we feel that it's right time for us to experiment and open source and see how it goes. And there's lots of excitement inside of Scale about this. And we are pushing to do it really, really fast, meaning like weeks, literally. And that's the great thing about UI is that, you can iterate faster. People in the past said, oh, it takes so long time for Scale to engineer, but core technologies do take a long time. They're very complex. But UI can be changed fast. So great thing about this UI widget, Metaport, we just found a name for it, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll actually have like a prototype for it and give it to people, because people are anxiously waiting for it. We have now several games played on. You can play on Scale. I'm playing these games. People earning something even in these games, some tiny amounts of money. And so people need to be able to exchange these amounts into, say, stable coins, do some basic stuff. So people are coming to us and saying, where are you going to have this widget? And it becomes really something which is not almost like, not we are doing it, but we are pushed so hard by our users that we will be doing it as fast as possible, because our users are asking it, our CEO is asking us about it, everyone. It's really something where the product comes actually from people asking for it.
Very cool. Yeah. So it'll be on GitHub. It's open source. It's all part of this kind of decentralized open source approach. Super exciting. Thanks, Stan. Don't forget to subscribe. YouTube down below. You can also subscribe to our Twitter, and we'll see you at the next Math for Impatient. Bye.
Fantastic.